Good afternoon. Hello. Welcome to the ASP Spring Speaker Series. This afternoon, we'll be speaking with Richard Petraitis, a 2024 Library Board candidate from Illinois, on the topic of overcoming the fear of running for office. Welcome, Richard.
Hi, good afternoon, Bonnie, and I want to say thank you to all the members of American Solidarity Party, and welcome everyone that's tuning in. And it'll be my pleasure to speak a little bit about overcoming the fear for running for political office. That fear of jumping into the public square. Well, first of all, just to start with me, a little bio. Bonnie did mention that I recently ran for library trustee in the village of Woodridge here in Illinois, and the election was April 1st, and unfortunately, I did not win that election, and it was a great experience though. I learned so much, and during this hour I kind of hope to share with you some of my experience, and I'm ready for questions specific to a campaign, my involvement in that campaign. So I welcome everyone's questions. But to begin with, my bio, I am a resident of the village of Woodridge now almost 30 years. Been here with my family, my lovely wife, and my children in this community since 1996. And certainly regarding the public library here, I have been a card-holding member, card that I've exercised a lot since the 1990s, and I've been very happy overall with their services through the years. I look at the public library as a community library. But regarding myself, I am semi-retired. I have at least stepped away from managerial roles in the private sector, and I am part-time retired now. I am 64. I never ran for office ever. This is my first time. I've been a member of the American Solidarity Party for about 2 years, maybe a little longer, but about 2 years, and specifically the American Solidarity Party here in the state of Illinois. And I came to the party. I found them on the internet, and basically I read their platform. And once I did that, to me, I mean, I found a home. For a number of years, I considered myself, certainly I'm a conservative, but independent, often voting in races, local, state level, national, as a Republican. However, at the state level, I became a little disenchanted with our Republican Party. I think with primarily when I saw a little bit of falling back on the social issues, going back to like 2015. However, there are many great men and women in the Illinois Republican Party, and certainly many conservatives within the ranks. But how did I mesh with the American Solidarity Party? Well, I am a revert to the Catholic faith. I came back to the Catholic faith 12, 13 years ago, after having been adrift. I would consider myself that I was a skeptic and agnostic for many years, but reverted back to the Catholic faith. And upon my re-entry into the church, I immersed myself in the readings of the many great theologians that we have, and also came across the writings of some authors of which many of you are familiar with, G.K. Chesterton, Hilaire Belloc, Father McNabb, the writings of Dorothy Day, Peter Maurin, and they all had in common a love for, and in fact promoted, what was called distributism. And that grew out of Pope Leo XIII's encyclical back in the early 1890s, Rerum Novarum. And specifically, it was addressing many of the ills, the changes that had happened with industrialization, and particularly the impact on the family. And for me, economics, I mean, it's all about, what matters to the family. So, their writings really, really hit a chord with me. I also, found that as I was reading, in particular, Peter Maurin and Dorothy Day, they actually were talking about not just Catholic worker homes, but Catholic worker farms. Back in the 1920s and 30s, this movement, distributism, especially as promoted by G.K. Chesterton and Hilaire Belloc, had sparked a back to land movement in England, and it took the form in America in the early 1930s. There was a Southern agrarian movement. So there's this back to the land movement for looking for a simpler life, a life that would actually nurture and protect the family. And that was really meshing with me. Myself, as far as distributism, I inspired by some of those authors. I started becoming a little bit more self-sufficient. Got into some gardening, getting to raise garden beds up in the backyard. I live out here in the western suburbs of Chicago. I actually got backyard chickens after we expressed an interest, we being other individuals in the Woodridge community that wanted to have backyard chickens. We took it to the trustees of our village. So a little bit of local involvement there, which was, and our push was successful. So and also I've gotten in over the past couple of years. I've gotten involved with beekeeping. So besides eggs, have a little bit of honey flowing, and there's so many people that I'm encountering now, young people, young families, who have this desire to kind of decouple from city life, the busy suburban life, and they want to make a go of becoming more self-sufficient. In some cases, they want to actually move out into rural areas and start a small family farm. So again, I found that the American Solidarity Party platform, they encompassed distributism, and were certainly friendly to this, if I could call it, a third way to localism. And so that's when I came on board and joined the American Solidarity Party. Now, as far as running for library trustee in the village of Woodridge, we had a couple of trustee positions opening up on the board, and I wanted to give back to my community, and in particular wanted to give back to community as a servant. I am a member of the Knights of Columbus, and one thing that we're very big on is service to one, service to all. And I wanted to be a servant leader in our community. I mean, we had certainly benefited from living within the borders of our village, and I did have the time to give back to the community. And I thought, this would be a good time to make a run for office. Uh, one thing that also made me think about running for office was that in Illinois, our governor passed something called the Library Freedom Act. And if I'm correct, it is the first law in the United States uh, that bans the banning of books. Uh, in Illinois, uh, many public libraries receive state funds because some have chosen now because of this act not to receive state funds. And basically, that this was passed when parents in different communities throughout Illinois uh, objected to certain material or books that they saw. And there was a process in all the public libraries when you want to object. There's a form you fill out, you submit it to the library, it's reviewed, and the process is basically you could go up the chain of command all the way to the library board, and you can make your case if you find some material that is objectionable. Um, the board will then make a final decision whether to remove something or not based on the merits of your argument. But basically, it is a debate within the community. What I didn't like was that this Library Freedom Act seems to have infringe on the rights of citizens, community members to petition their local governments about issues, about anything that maybe they find the case of libraries offensive, and in a way it kind of sends a chill. There's certainly freezes your ability locally as far as your freedom to speak out. And that was something that really troubled me and made me think that maybe it's time to get involved, not to be sitting on the sidelines, but to serve my community and just be there as a representative of the community, and especially for those individuals, those groups who now seem to some extent have lost their voice. The campaign itself, I had great support, great advice from our party here in Illinois. Our chair, Amar Patel, was wonderful. I really had a lot of good advice as far as filing for candidacy, and then on how to campaign and move forward after that filing. The consolidated elections themselves were April 1st. And my campaign, I tried, various ways to put myself out there, to talk to people within the community and gain some support. Unfortunately, we had originally six candidates running for the two library trustee positions. A couple candidates bowed out, and then the race was between 4 candidates for 2 library trustee positions. A total among all the candidates of 4,500 votes were cast. Our community has a population of over 30,000. And out of the 4,500 votes cast, I only garnered 600, but I actually was pleased, that there were individuals out there, supporting me, and I even had the endorsement of the Lyle Township Republicans, which was I was very, very, very pleased that they had suggested me as a candidate for the trustee position here on the library board in Woodridge, Illinois. As far as hesitancy to run for office, a lot of things went through my head. One of the things that I was concerned about is legal trouble. You receive your packet as a candidate. You go down to the village hall, you receive the packet, and one of the things they give you is a economic interest form, and they advise you, like, hey, this is something you want to look over, with your attorney. So already that word is thrown out there. Oh, maybe you need to consult with an attorney, and so that begins the process where you're like, oh, this is pretty serious. Do I need to seek an attorney, for any type of advice here? I mean, it seems to me the form is fairly simple, but one thought leads to another, and you could kind of wind up dwelling a little bit too much on a potential legalities, things that in a grand scheme of things are really, in reality, as I found out, minor. Another issue that I had was a concern about stepping out at a public square and putting yourself on a public square, including social media. Certainly it's good. It's good for a campaign, but I was wondering, would there be any blowback? Would there be, so common nowadays, are you you're gonna be running for office, and are you gonna be attacked, via social media? So that was kind of a concern. I also was concerned. I am involved currently in the pro-life movement. I have an apostolate, actually, with the Knights of Columbus, and I began thinking, well, maybe there's too many things on my plate. Will this draw away from the work I'm doing in that apostolate, which I entered probably about 7-8 years ago? So to extent stepping into the public square, but not to the extent of a campaign where actually, I'm out there, on the internet, so to speak. The other issue that I had was, as a Christian and as a Catholic, the question of humility. I mean, and this has come up, and I know there's articles on this, online. I found some good articles addressing this very question about, the fear of running for political office having an impact negatively on you as a Christian, and maybe because a campaign requires some self-promotion, some to use the current term, branding, that you may become a little self-focused, and you have that ugly sin of pride popping up. So that was kind of a concern to me. So I had to do a little bit of prayerful discerning, and then I actually went to whatever writings I could find that the Catholic Church has produced, and I was stunned. I mean, there was just an immense amount of information out there. In fact, calls for almost 140 years by various popes for the Catholic laity, i.e., me, to get out there and to run for political office. Going back to Pope Leo the 13th in the 1880s and 90s, in fact, he used, certainly in his encyclicals or letters, much more flowery writing, but he basically was stating that someone who has the opportunity to run for office, to basically, let's say, make the temporal order more sacred, to bring your witness as a Christian into the public sphere, politics, economics, whatever. But basically, he was calling anyone that doesn't run for office a coward. Again, he just used much nicer language. But even to the present time, Pope Francis himself called upon the laity to get out there, to run for office if they can, and to kindly get into the fight. And as I was reading all this, I remembered a motto very popular with the Catholic Action Movement, which sprang up in Europe in the early 20th century, but also, again, a motto that was brought into the writings of some of our popes, Pope John Paul the 23rd, Pope Paul the 6th. And the motto is, when you see something going wrong in society, whether it's something that you see as a great evil, something that you see as a corruption of some sort, you see that thing drawing your attention, then you need to judge and think about it within your Catholic principles as a Christian. You need to think about it, and then you need to act. And the key is act. And as I have found out, that so many nowadays are frustrated in not just in our national governance, but at what's happening locally and at a state level, and frustrated often with the individuals that are in political office. And so they are upset, they are anxious, they see an issue, and even may think about it, but when it comes to acting, they don't take that third step, whatever it may be. And it doesn't always have to be getting out into the public square. I mean, there's other ways that certainly individuals can jump into correcting a wrong, whether it be prayer, supportive groups that are addressing a particular problem that they also see. But running for political office, not just participating in local elections, but actually running for office, I thought for me was the route to go. Because right now, in our state, I certainly see subsidiarity being violated like never before. With our legislature right now in Springfield, some of the laws, the bills that are coming out are certainly troubling to the Christian, and they seem to not be helping the common good, but eroding it. And what is subsidiarity? Subsidiarity is this is what I embrace. Political decisions need to be kept at a local level, when possible. We don't want to see Big Brother, whether it's the form of our state governor, our legislature, stepping into things that are very local, that are happening at the community level, that can be taken care of at the community level. I.e., again, any arguments at a library about books. I'm a big believer in, as Pope Francis had said, public libraries should be oases of encounter, and perfect locations to debate things. But all things should be local. What were some of my surprises running for the campaign? Unbelievably, and I have to say a big shout out to Mr. Piper, who is a alderman on the Batavia City Council. He wrote a great article about this, but I was stunned at how few signatures were needed for me to collect on my petition of candidacy to run for office. I was stunned when I was told I just need to collect 25 signatures. I mean, that is just a walk on a Saturday through my neighborhood, and I was able to gather those signatures with really little effort. Despite the reluctance of a lot of people now to come to the door, and I'm sure staring at me through a Ring camera, but I still collected 25 signatures and was able to run as a candidate. As far as expenditures, I mean, there's very little expenditures. A lot of advertisement I got for free. The American Solidarity Party here in Illinois, actually they put us up, all the candidates, their profiles, on their website. I created a Facebook page, and during my run for campaign, I made friends with people that gave me some great political advice. In fact, I had talked to someone that had been a trustee in our village who told me that don't forget the early voting. Don't forget the early voting when you're doing one of these campaigns, because that could be the whole campaign. Nowadays, because of the way the laws are written, a lot of people vote, and they're able to vote from home, mail-in voting. And so, something like this is really important, that you reach out to those that have actually run for political office, make their acquaintance, and they just provide you with some great guidance and mentorship. And of course, I can't forget again the chair of our party, who's run campaigns before himself, and actually provided me some great information. There was a little bit of a discussion about back and forth about what type of campaign to do. Could we do maybe a door hanger campaign, contingent upon getting primary, maybe some names, primary voter rolls through the county Freedom of Information Disclosure Act. And again, I talked to someone who was actually championing a mail campaign, albeit now that would be much more expensive because postage is involved. Paying postage for whatever you're sending out in your community, will certainly run up the bill. And this person was not a fan of the door hanger campaign, and I myself ran into some issues where I was gonna, hang up my information using some plastic bags, on the door hangers, but my order got held up, and so my timing got thrown there a little bit. But one of the things that I found that I could have benefited from probably, and I would certainly work on next time, is having a team of individuals that would help me if I do go the door hanger route. With that type of a campaign, getting information out there. Again, I'm not a marketing person, so I don't know, what type of percentage of response you would get from the door hanger campaign to the mail campaign. So I'm not sure, not sure about those numbers. But I certainly developed a network of people that, even though I lost this time running for the trustee position, I do have a group of individuals that can certainly aid me, have told me that they would help me in the future. And I've developed my network of individuals to go to now, which I had to build up beginning with my filing in November all the way through April. But now that process is done. So basically my Rolodex has been filled. So if there in the future I decide to run for political office, things will be a little bit smoother, and hopefully I'll receive great support. And with that, I am definitely ready for questions, from the audience. Anybody has any questions?
Well, thank you, Richard, and thank you for sharing your thoughts. You answered a lot of my questions. One question I do have is, I'm gathering, since you did not have to deal with large sums of money, you didn't have to deal with compliance issues.
No, you know what? In fact, in our state, I think you're referring to the A1. They allow expenses and donations. What they're looking at, the limit is $5,000. Now, if you reach that, this is where things change for you. You need to actually, basically, step number one, you need somebody that's going to be a treasurer. Now the paperwork begins, and every month you're going to have to submit, what you're receiving as far as donations, expenses. So there's some paperwork involved. I'd have to look through the file folder, but and I did end up, I know, mentioned, speaking to an attorney, and when somebody mentioned that, I did actually go to an attorney who was great. I mean, for free, just gave me some advice and told me that, so long as you're staying under that $5,000 number, that you're good. I mean, I never even came close to reaching that. But yes, that would change the game a little bit, and you would need a team of people.
And do you think in the future you might run again for another office?
Oh, you know what? I think I would, because right now, I have that base of individuals that have told me they were actually disappointed that I didn't become trustee, and that they would, they'd be happy to help me in any way they can in the future. And again, a couple individuals have run for office before, and so their help would be simply stellar in any future campaign. I didn't experience any issues, any negativity socially. I cannot speak for my brother candidates in the American Solidarity Party. I don't want to, speak for them. I don't know what their experience was like, in particular in the race up in Lombard, Illinois, for the library trustee positions. I mean, but I didn't experience any negativity. I mean, only positives. And but again, I think one of the best things that I received as far as information was hey, don't forget about early voting when you're running for a campaign. To the point of individuals telling me it might not even be bad for you to get out to the early voting locations yourself with a sign and stand out there and greet people and shake their hand so they could connect to the name. I did use some signs. I did. So one of my expenditures, I did print up some signs, vote for Petraitis for library trustee, and strategically placed them in the village. But I think if people could connect your face, to that sign, that would be beneficial. So I was thinking that advice, like, hey, get out there to a polling station for the designated for early voting and greet people when they come in, could really pay big dividends for somebody running locally.
That sort of brings up leading up to your campaign. So that's when your campaign is imminent. It's there.
Correct.
The vote is coming soon. Leading up to your campaign, what did you do to get out into your community and, make people aware of your campaign?
Well, and you know what? I approached some groups through the churches because I felt that would be where my support would be. Families, Christian families, Catholic, Protestant. I tried to get opportunities to speak to individuals there. I'd mentioned, for instance, that I belong to the Knights of Columbus, and however, with their organization, we're not, we don't talk politics in our business meetings. So that for instance was, that was one forum where, while may have had support among people who are Knights of Columbus, I realized that I had to reach out more, and I tried reaching out to some of the Protestant churches in the area, but I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be, and I also thought one thing that cost me that was a little late in returning my application. What someone told me was that once you return the application with your signatures, et cetera, you want to be, one of the first to return that application, because it does make a difference on the ballot where your name is placed. And in a case, especially where there's multiple positions, for instance, open. So, it's important to be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's just how it happens. It's on the submissions, earlier submissions. Your name is on top, and that does help get some votes, at least according to one person that I talked to. So you gotta get out there early. I thought I was a little late on some things.
A lot of what I'm hearing is, you started out talking about allaying your fears, but through knowledge, just learning about things. And I was really interested to hear about you talking about, the church kind of encouraging people to speak out.
Right. You know what? And I'm glad you brought that up, because again, I mean, I just was sitting there one day and I go to myself, I was having some doubts, and I'm like, let me exercise that search engine, and not that I'm not familiar with some encyclicals, but let me see what it says about, running for a local office. And one interesting thing that I came across was this whole thing about humility and being concerned about pride. But there was a writer out there who stated that it's a type of false humility in some cases, not to pick up that baton, not to run for office because, I need to stay humble, And I hope for everyone out there that nobody is ever having any doubts about running for office over the argument of separation of church and state. So just that doesn't even require any consideration. I mean, that's something that simply was drawn from one of Thomas Jefferson's letter. There's nothing in the Constitution. So please, if somebody begins talking to you about that, as a Christian, our witness to Christ is not private. I'm not going to be praying in my closet. Sometimes you need to step out into the public square. With my how did I become involved with the pro-life apostolate? Again, I was ashamed because one day I'm driving past a local abortion clinic and I'm looking out and I see, all right, there's people out there, but predominantly women. There were women out there in the front lines. And then you see activists who are very loud and vocal, the pro-abortion people, that are pressing them. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, we're all the men. We have these modern day Deborahs and Judiths, but where are the men? Where am I? How come I'm like, no, I got to do this. I got to get on the front lines. I have to do this for my not just my community, my wife, my daughter. It's important that women see that this is an important issue to men, and that I stand for life. Something that the American Solidarity Party, does a great job of. And I had that moment, and from that, I have my apostolate now, pro-life apostolate, and I'm not shy about being vocal as far as what I see as the unjust taking of life, that's happening.
I think we have some audience questions, so I would like
Sure.
to share some of them. One of them, Bill Fleming asked, what do you consider to be the unique perspectives or contributions that members of the ASP can bring to local politics? You talked about the pro-life view, but I think you might have some more ideas of where our unique space is in local politics.
Yes, and one thing that has been dominating, for instance, our news headlines for the longest time is, I don't think I'm going on a limb here to say that the United States has been involved in quite a number of wars. And, there's quite a lot of action and activity overseas. And again, our party is looking at that, and in a way like where we have a different approach than the and I hate to use this term, and it's been used a lot, than the uniparty in Washington D.C. We support, or I shouldn't say support, but maybe we look at foreign involvement and conflicts through the lens, a Christian lens. In my case, a Catholic lens, and I try to evaluate things, through the just war theory, and I see that often brought to the fore by members of the American Solidarity Party, certainly individuals in the Catholic worker movement too. I think share similar views with us. And I also think that we have a unique space because we are out there fighting for the worker, and certainly I think we have the interests of individuals in mind. I mean, first and foremost, I mean, we love the idea of cooperatives, and that's something unique. I'm not sure, where either of the major parties stand on that. Though one of the major parties, claims to be there for the working man. So I think that's another space that makes us unique, and this goes back to, again, all the way back to the 1890s. We're still suffering the effects of industrialization, and I think basically we're seeing a little bit of atomization of the individual, and I think the American Solidarity Party, they have their finger to the pulse on attacking some issues related to that.
Thank you. Also, Michael Vick had a couple of comments, but also a question. He did mention that, being towards the top of the ballot is, as you learned, is a good way to garner more votes. He also mentioned that folks that want to run for office and want to stand outside the polls in any state should be careful about, where exactly the boundary is that you may do that, so you're not electioneering. And related to your the activities you did prior to your election, we were talking about what were some of the things you did, and you talked about not putting up the door hangers. Did you happen to knock on doors? And if you did, could you describe some of the experiences you had?
Yes, I almost was going to say I'm glad you brought that up, because I did in some cases some unique experiences. Oh, in reference to electioneering, I mentioned about putting up a sign at a polling place and actually showing up there for some of the early voters. They do set cones that mark a boundary as far as how close you could stand. So yeah, I want everybody to be cautious about that. But getting to the knocking on doors, what I found is kind of frustrating, and gosh, it strikes a special nerve with me, for all those cold callers out there who go door to door selling some sort of service. In my area, our area here, the western suburbs, we live in a very affluent area. Everyone has a ring, and doors opening when I began the campaign. Yes, it is easier when it's within the immediate block because people know me. But as you fan out and you knock on doors and introduce yourself, well, I should say the ratio of doors opening begins to drop, because often people are looking through the ring cameras at you and figuring you're standing there with a clipboard, and they figure you're selling something and not coming to the door, or my gosh, this guy is he's pretty big. I don't know, this, maybe he's gonna try to force his way into my home. So a lot of doors don't open. But as far as some unique encounters, I did have an individual that, as I was explaining, that I was running for a library trustee. He stepped out of his house and he signed my petition, but he was asking me a number of questions that absolutely had nothing to do with the library trustee position, but maybe if I could actually categorize it, almost at the point of questions related to the national election, and so you have to kind of sometimes be prepared for that and kind of draw people back to the position you're running for, library trustee. Friends and neighbors were certainly excited, but again, as you move away from that easy door knocking sphere, within a block or so of your home, and you get out deeper into the neighborhood where people have never seen you, things get tougher, and that's where you're going to encounter some questions. There's always a lot of hesitancy too. people are scared to put their signature down on something. So you may find yourself explaining exactly like, hey, this doesn't mean that you vote for me. I'm just trying to get on the ballot, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm one of those candidates that's running for the trustee position, and we don't want candidates unopposed, right? So you got to kind of bring people back to that. And I also, there was a question with the library trustee position. I think immediately someone trying to categorize you as Republican or a Democrat, and you have to remind them this is a nonpartisan race, so kind of assuage their feelings of anxiety there, and calm them down a little bit. So yeah, there's a little bit of explaining I have to do. I don't think I ever had I didn't have a negative experience, but sometimes people don't quite understand, even when you think you've done a good job explaining what the petition's for. They don't fully understand it, or they look at it as a prism through the prism of, one of the major political parties, and their head is not even local. They're looking at things maybe like nationally. But again, what impacts us the most? It's the local politics, not what happens in Washington, D.C. And I try to tell that to people. Remember, it's the local politics that really matters. That has the most direct impact on your life.
So it sounds to me, did you have some sort of like elevator pitch kind of pre-formulated going into it, or is that something that developed as you knocked on doors and spoke to people?
I did have a little bit of a pitch. Not that I didn't do a seat of the pants approach, but I did have a pitch, and again, it was much easier closer to home because I opened up a door and people know me, so it was a lot easier. But again, when you move out through the neighborhoods and you're trying to gather signatures, or you're knocking on doors, at that point, people don't know you, so you do have to go to your template. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Richard Petraitis. You do want to make sure they know that you are living in their neighborhood. Hey, I've been living here for many years, 30 years, at Woodridge, and I'm running for library trustee. I was hoping that I could get your signature on this petition. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or hear any input that you have, or concerns about the public library. So yeah, but you do have a template. Again, easier closer to home, and then you do have to stay with your template as you move further away, where people, again, they're suspecting that you might not be who you say you are. So sadly, in this day and time.
Of course. And I think also with like the taking something like the library board into Republican and Democrat, is in this day and age kind of a given, right?
Right.
Well, I think that's all the questions that we have. Do you have any closing thoughts that you would like to offer to folks who are contemplating a run, maybe a little scared to do so? What are your three main encouragements?
I would like to close with just telling, number one, if you have any doubts, what, just push yourself, take the plunge. I think it's important for everyone to be involved in local politics, and gosh, as members of a Christian Democrat Party, it is really important to take our witness into the public square. And no better witness, no better way to bless the temporal order given to us by Christ the King, than to get involved in local politics. And certainly do not be shy about your your Christianity. If somebody once said something, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but if your neighbor doesn't know you're a Christian, then you are not a Christian. And you want to make sure your neighbors know where you stand. But again, it's all about neighbor, and don't want to abuse the word solidarity, with all those around us. And I think you're going to find that overall people are very receptive, very friendly, and you're gonna develop also some great friends, some great allies, and only grow as a person.
Well, thank you, Rich. Thank you for your campaign and representing the American Solidarity Party so well and
My honor.
nobly. Look forward to seeing you running for office again. And thank you for spending time to share your thoughts with us today.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Okay. And thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Have a great day.